Hey everyone, welcome back to Hellblazer Biz with Chris Gordon, and I am absolutely over the moon to welcome my guest today. As you can see, she's Amanda Christine, who many of you will know as Ronnie Grogan on It, Welcome to Derry, which happens to be one of the biggest hit shows at the moment. It's taken the world by storm. So, Amanda, thank you very much for joining me. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Mr. Gordon, for having me.
So, first off, it's when you found out you were joining the It universe, what was your immediate reaction? It's a huge place to get into, but
Honestly,
obviously it was
yes. Honestly, I was really excited, but definitely scared because my family's not really big into horror and we did not know anything until we got there. It was very top secret going into this project and I only auditioned once. So we didn't know anything. And when we got the call that I booked it, of course I'm excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing, a project that I get to work on, but we didn't even know what the project was about until we got there and we met with Mr. Andy and Miss Barbara and we had a meeting kind of about what we were jumping into, which was the It universe, the Stephen King universe, and just how many things that they're trying to tie into just this one series and how my character Ronnie contributes to the series. So it was definitely really exciting for sure.
fantastic, fantastic. I can imagine. I guess as filming went on, you sort of got more of an understanding of what you were getting into. It was just an even better experience.
Yes.
So, for those people who've maybe watching for the first time or meeting, Ronnie for the first time, or they've not watched it, or they're just starting to watch the show now, who's Ronnie Grogan in your own words?
Yes, honestly, Ronnie Grogan to me, she's a very fierce person. She is so fierce, so determined, and very strong-headed for her age. And to be coming into womanhood and going through so much, especially with what the world brings onto her, not just with her family life and, dealing with the struggles of only having one parent and the racial things that are happening and the nuclear things that are happening. And then you also have this fear entity that is prying on her and, her friends as a group. So it's definitely one thing that I say for sure that Ronnie's very strong, very fierce. She also has a very loving and caring side to her as well. And you see that with the people that she loves and she cares for the most. She will go to ends meet to make sure that, you know, you're happy, safe, loved, and alive.
Fantastic. That does come across as well. Very, very lively character and a bubbly character. One thing that to me stood out is obviously for yourself, going back about 30 years to the 1960s. So that's going right into the heart of obviously the real racist America of the time, and the segregation and all that kind of stuff. You can see a lot of that there. And one thing I personally find in that is the show. It's harrowing because I won't obviously ruin it for people who've not seen it, but it's very harrowing because it doesn't hold back on showing what it was like for people of color back in the 60s. But the thing I really love, Amanda, is the fact that you as the kids, it's not there. It doesn't seem to show for obviously your little group of friends, and that's what I believe. It's like as a child, it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. Your friends are your friend, and that's why that it just shows what the world should be like, to be honest. And I just love that little part of it. Amongst all this, what's going on around them, they're just there
Yes.
saying, "We don't." You
Yes. Friendship is definitely a main thing within the series and then within the prequel series. And, we touch on that a lot. And I'm so happy that you brought that up because it just shows that, like you said, everybody is equal in a way. And as long as you can, have fun with each other and see the light within each other and just go through the good and bad within each other, you're all right and you guys will be all right. So friendship is definitely a big key within the show, and it was so amazing to be working with my castmates and touching on that and just growing our dynamic, within the show as castmates and then outside of the show as, friends and just, future people that we know.
fantastic, fan. That is good, and that's a great thing from the friendship the show's carried on because obviously in the original, the novel, and the films and stuff. I mean, I'm dating myself really old here because I grew up with Pennywise being Tim Curry as Pennywise for me. But you got the losers group and the friendship, and that really comes across great. And I love how that gets carried on within
Yeah.
Welcome to Derry as well, and it moves on. It's brilliant. Now, Ronnie, the character feels very grounded and human. So, how much did you of a backstory did you create for yourself that didn't show up on screen, or did you not get real time to do that?
We
What kind
had
of a
plenty of
preparation?
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we have plenty of time to create backstories and really dive deep into who our character were as people and just how they related to us as people. And we actually had an acting coach, Mr. Ben Perkins, who helped us out and just, kind of guided us and, you know, helped us build that arc within our character and be able to work on that craft and, just show the art on screen that our characters have gone through. And Ronnie as a character, I have a notebook and I wish I had it with me, but I had like a character notebook and each scene I did, I would do like a little journal of just like how I felt within that scene and just, just from Ronnie's perspective, because I am Ronnie and I really take to that and I really put myself within her shoes when I was filming the series. And, me and Ronnie have a lot of similarities. So just building my backstory and putting, that into Ronnie's backstory and also researching, watching documentaries about racism. I love documentaries so much and just really just diving deep into researching, the fashion and the clothes and just how everything was back then. And I also had to research a lot of films because Ronnie is a film fanatic. So diving deep into that and just, researching just a lot of things and just figuring out who Ronnie was. And yeah, like I said, Ronnie is me. And it was just amazing to experience.
That is really good. It's excellent. Yeah, Ronnie's a film enthusiast, obviously with her father and her father's role. She kind of, I guess, kind of grew up in that area, in that arena. What a great thing for your kid to grow up to be. Have your dad as a cinematographer. That you get to see all the films for free.
Yes, literally.
But that's again, obviously, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but that's part of that storyline. Again, it's obviously the effect that what happens to Ronnie's father has on Ronnie herself as well. And growing up in a world where that's just seems normal is horrible. And you portray that as obviously right. The emotions that you can see you pushing through as Ronnie are just fantastic. It really draws you to yourself as a character. It's brilliant. And all your friend, all the friends group, basically, all the actors and actresses in that little group. You really kind of, I think that's what makes the show really good. Is the fact I'm going off my script here, by the way. It's just completely off. It's the fact that it just draws you really into the characters, and I think that might be one of the reasons why the show is such a huge hit. Is because you guys do such a
Yes,
great job at what you do. Yeah, I think
yes.
that's kind of
That was fun. That was fun, working with the cast and building off of each other's dynamics and each other's, emotions and just working off of each other, which was so amazing. And hands down to all my castmates, man, we all gave it to each other and it was such an amazing experience and a chapter that I will never.
excellent, excellent. What's one thing you felt you maybe had to protect about Ronnie, either emotionally or psychologically? Is there anything that you would have thought you needed to protect about her character?
That's a really good question. Yes, Ronnie had a lot of things that she had to protect, honestly. For one, her father, because that's all she had. And hands down to my dad, Mr. Stefan Ryder, he literally, like, our dynamic and just our relationship, and he really stepped up as a father figure. And just having that, it really gave me something to work off of and just like an emotional piece that, you know, I did not wanna lose. It was like, it was just he gave that to me, and it was just amazing, and I really appreciate him for that. So, Ronnie had that to lose. She did not wanna lose that. That was all that she had.
Mhm.
And then also just the guilt of her mother, losing her mom, and, that was just something that she wanted to protect because she wanted to come off as strong and fierce and very strong-headed. So, she doesn't want people to see that guilt. She doesn't want people to see that pain and hurt and, her grandma arguing with her father, like all those kind of things she doesn't want people to see. She wants to come off as strong and, very strong-headed. So definitely, she has a lot of guilt and not shame, but shame inside too.
Okay, I understand that. It's a great answer, to be fair. It kind of knocks me out now. I can't think of his Stephen or Stefan, who's Francis. He was obviously brilliant as well because he's obviously central in a role of getting overwrought and wanting his family to keep his family and protect his family above everything else. And it really carries on because I'm a Stephen King book reader, me. So it kind of, and I love that closeness and that family and like the friendship that you mentioned before. That's very much an ethos in his books as well of the horror. He creates those relationships, and Welcome to Derry just really carries it on. I don't. It's just. I'll sing its praises because I just love the show so much. but it does it, all the cast and everyone in there. You really do bring that out, and it shows. And I think that strength of that bond all the way through, right to the very end. And obviously the last
Yes,
episode, which I'm not going to ruin for everyone, but there's that one scene. I'll just say it's on the ice, and and yeah, I think they're very close to the end and running across the ice, and there's that one
yes,
gesture with, yeah, and it's like, yeah, the friendship transcends the what do you call spatial planes of existence, if you want to say that. If you want to get into
mhm,
existentialism or whatever, however it's called, I've got no idea. I'm not clever enough to understand all that. So, no, going on from that, then obviously you've got Derry itself as well. Derry, the place where it's set, and Derry's very famous, obviously very well known amongst in the Stephen King universe. Though I'd never want to visit Derry. To be perfectly fair, after everything you read,
nobody
everywhere,
wants to ever visit Derry.
not somewhere you want to go. So, how do you think growing up in a place like Derry shapes who Ronnie becomes?
Yes, honestly, a good question. There are so many things that obviously, as the viewers can see on screen, that happens in Derry that, are a little weird and a little off, that are not normal, that happen in a normal town. People, when they see things that, should not be normal, they're just pronouncing it as normal. So, growing up in a town like that, I think Ronnie, I'm not gonna say not sheltered, but like, I'm trying to find the words for it, but kind of like in a society where nothing that should have been real was real.
Hmm.
And growing up in a place like that, I feel like can be hard, but she does get out of there. So thank God for that. When you leave Derry, you start to forget things. So that is
Yeah.
one thing that I feel like, I don't know. Maybe it'll change for.
Yeah, true, very true. That's a big thing. It is like when you leave Derry, you stay within Derry, and it's you remember, like Mike Hanlon, obviously in the original as well. He stayed. He's the only one that stayed, and he remembered everything. And I love that. So again, I'm diverting again. Just that's just brought my memory about the Welcome to Derry. The characters you get all these little Easter eggs, like the character names. Obviously, you meet Mike Hanlon's grandfather and father, who's your friend in the show. And then you've got Bowers, Sheriff Bowers, is it? Yeah, the one who's obviously grandfather to the bully in the main.
It's
Draws everything
crazy.
right in. It's just fantastic, isn't it? I mean,
Really is.
Derry almost feels like its own character as well. And I think obviously people have come, so it's like it's not just a set; it's its own character. So did the sets and locations also help pull you into that mindset as well?
It really did. Definitely the Pimp Scott is what we call it, which is the ice.
Hmm.
It was, or also we call it like the winter fire too, but it was definitely, it brought us into that reality and into that world. Like we felt like we were on the ice, and it was kind of slippery because we had like this fog and the steam, and like it would kind of make the paint, because the paint was kind of glossy, so we would kind of be sliding, so it felt real.
Yeah.
And everything honestly that they had on set, besides some things, like, there were some times that we had to react to just, like, a piece of tape or, like, a tennis ball, but the VFX, being able to see it sometimes, like, when they would put it on screen, to play it out for us just to give us an idea, or the SFX
Mhm.
where it's in person and we can actually feel it and see it, like, my mother thing scene was just so amazing because I had the actual umbilical cord, I had the glue on me, like, so definitely those kind of things, it does help, like, bring you into the character and into the town.
I can imagine that was a horrifying scene, by the way. That was just like, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It was like, wow, you've got. There's a great meme out there, and it's you've got like a Labrador and you've got a Hellhound, and the Labrador is
Yes.
on the it's chapters 1 and 2 with a little Labrador looking all sweet, and then you've got Welcome to Derry above the Hellhound, like always in the fact that there's so much more horror
You're
in graphic.
right.
It made me laugh. It was true though. It really have brought out the graphic and the horror in there. It's you're just like whoa, blown away with it all. So with working with a team, obviously expanding such an iconic Stephen King world, how was it like working as that team? I think you've kind of touched on it as well with cast and stuff, but when the whole team's working trying to get this expansion, how did that feel?
It was a whirlwind for sure. It was so exciting though because we were there for a really long time. We started back in April of 2023, and we were all so little, so young, and then we had the writers and actors strike, so we got held off for about 6 months, and then we came back, and continued to film, and then we also had reshoots for some time. So
Mhm.
just being able to they're kinda like family now. They are family now, like, they are my Derry family, and it's just amazing to be able to say that because, we've been through a lot together, we've cried together, we've laughed together, we've, been sad, we've had all the emotions together, and it's just so amazing to be able to experience that as kids because we've all gone to vulnerable places and all had to, reach a standpoint and, dive deep and figure out who our characters were and also figure out who we were as people. So just being able to experience that and also the crew and Mr. Andy and Miss Barbara and Mr. Ben and just everybody made it so amazing and just such a comfortable experience to be on set. And it was just so amazing to experience. So I'm forever grateful. And it was just an honor to also be able to work on a Stephen King project. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? Well, Bill, I keep seeing all these little TikToks and stuff of Bill as well from it about how such an I realise you see him as a nice guy because and how funny he is because obviously he's dressed up as Pennywise, scares the bejesus out of you when you're on the film, and then afterwards he's like, "You all right?" and he brings you around and stuff like that. Was he like that with you guys as well?
Honestly, he kind of was. Again, they kept him very top secret. Like, we did not get
Yeah.
to meet Mr. Bill Skarsgård until the sewer scene. So until episode
Well,
5, we did not get to meet him at all. So it was definitely something crazy to experience because it's just like, oh my goodness, like, when are we gonna get to see him? When are we gonna meet him? We were like his little fans on set. Like anytime we got a glimpse of him, we were like, "Oh my gosh, there he is, there he is." But he gave us the performance that we needed, and thank God that they kept him top secret because, the interactions and stuff, we would have been too comfortable and all that other stuff,
mhm.
and that was our real raw reaction. So what you guys saw, we were trying to get the H out of Derry, like, out of them tunnels. We were trying to get out of there, like, we were running for our lives. So, definitely that was one thing, and, being able to work with him, it was such an honor and just such an amazing experience because it's Bill Skarsgård. He is such an amazing actor and just everything that he puts into Pennywise, like, he is Pennywise, like, and when he's in costume, he's in character. That is one thing.
Excellent. That's really good to hear, actually. I mean, I could only imagine as well if he's hidden away from. I've heard this from different films and stuff where they've been hidden away from like the main character and stuff. So I can just only imagine the fear that you suddenly get when all of a sudden you've got this hype around you, and then all of a sudden you're in like a sewer environment anyway, which is like creepy. And then all of a sudden out comes, Pennywise, like doing the dancing and
Yes.
yeah, I don't think I'd have stayed around to be fair.
We were
I
not
probably
trying to.
no, exactly. I'm trying to get the H out of there, like you said. If it had to boil it down as well, what do you think Ronnie is really afraid of as a person? Obviously, I know he draws on fear, doesn't he? What do you think Ronnie's really afraid of?
That's a good one. Obviously, as a person, you have many fears, and if people say that they're not afraid of anything, come on. Um, but for Ronnie, I feel like her biggest one is losing somebody else that is close to her, especially another parent, because that's all she has, especially in a town that has all these racial things that are going on and living somewhat in poverty and just not, being able to live the life that other people, I guess, you could say live. That's very hard for her is to lose the people that are closest to her. That's why she fights so hard and so strong and she's very, determined about certain things and if you cross her bad side, she's not playing with you. That's one thing for sure. So yeah, definitely that I feel would be her biggest.
It's a good fear to have. I think everyone fears that losing parents and losing those close to you. So that's a good fear. Well, it's not a good fear; it's a bad fear because you don't want to be you obviously don't want to be losing people, but you know what I mean. Excellent. And what kind of themes do you think in the show will hit people the hardest? What kind of themes?
As we were already like yeah, and as we were kinda already touching on, friendship. Like, friendship is the biggest one I feel that, this prequel series touches on. Now you have the kids and you also have the adults, but within the kids, you see the fights, you see the laughs, you see the gets-togethers, you see the pains and the hurts and the trials and tribulations. It's so many things that you see within the friend group. That is one thing that I feel like is very strong to touch on. And just also, family. There's so many. family moments and, like I said, they're my Derry family now, and, you have the Hanlons, you have the Grogans, you have the Bainbridges, you have, you know, everybody. You have so many people that, are within the story, so it's just so many things to touch on and so many elements and so many themes, but friendship is definitely
Excellent, excellent. It's good. And you're right, 'cause the f like I said before, is you guys did such a good job because there's not much that makes me have a little tear in my eye when I'm watching something, but when, Matilda or as Marge turns around at that one point when you're all up in that in the water tower, and she said, "He never really did make it to Main Street, did he?" I'm like, it's like, "Bring me the hanky." I was like, my heart just burst open. It's like, "Oh, wow." Because we've
that
got
whole
that drawn into
episode.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that
just
whole
otherwise,
episode just
yeah. 'Cause the scene obviously the scenes before that happened. Yeah, you're right in that one. I think it's that last, not the last the penultimate episode. I was just sat there and I was like, I couldn't believe it, and I was trying to punch the TV, certain people in the TV, because I was just so angry at how people could treat anyone else like that. I was like, "No!" And then I was like, it was really, really gets the emotions going, which is a sign of a great TV show. What do you hope audiences connect with when they watch Ronnie's story unfold? What do you hope
um
their connection and audience.
Definitely, one thing for sure I hope audiences connect with Ronnie is her determination and just you should always never give up. You know, she was fighting for her dad till the end and she got that happy ending that she long deserved and that she needed. And, never give up on anything, whether that's a dream, whether that's your family, whether it's your loved ones, whether it's whatever you want to do in life, never give up and so that's one thing that I hope, the audience could take from Ronnie, even though she was angry and even though she was, fierce at times and she was also loving and that was determination and that was because she never gave up. So never give up is one thing.
Fantastic, excellent. And did this working on the show also change how you view horror as a genre at all? I mean, you said before you and your family didn't you're not really horror fans, so has making this show changed how you view the genre as a whole?
Honestly, yes. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I love horror, but in the beginning I was watching some horror things, they just wouldn't be too scary. But
Mhm.
now I'm like, okay, I'm ready to dive deep. I'm ready to dive in. Like, no matter how scared I get, I just gotta hold on to somebody. I'm ready. So that's one thing that I can say horror has brought to me and just seeing how, it's made, it's not actually, there are some scary things that happen in the, acting world, but the
Mhm.
way that things are made, it's not as scary. So that is one thing that I can take.
Yeah, I guess that's true actually, because you take that away because you see it scary on screen, but then someone like you've been in it and you've filmed it, they've done it that way, they've filmed it, you can sit there and say, "No, it's fine." I mean, I love horror. I mean, I've loved horror for years, but I mean, I still get frightened. I think the main ones, newer ones, I'm not so much at, but the old ones, the originals like the Nightmare on Elm Streets, still can't watch without a pillow. I've got to say, even
Yes,
what 40,
that
maybe
or the
40 years old.
Terrifier or even
Oh,
Halloween, all the classics get me.
yeah, the Terrifier movies are hilarious. I've got to say, I just spend the time laughing. To be fair, which might show that I've got a really sick, crazy mind. Excellent. That's kind of bring it. Is there a particular scene or day on set that's really stuck with you?
There are so many, like, iconic days on set and just so many memories that we have on set. We would do so much on set. I can't even, like, pick one, but I guess, like, as, like, our whole like, with the kids, I guess, are our standpipe scenes for sure. I
Hmm.
love the standpipe scenes because usually we're all together, or it's like, most of us as a group. And also the sewer scenes, even though it was kind of icky and like yucky, I love everything. Oh my goodness, because I love the Pim Scott, so like the ice, because we had so much fun on the ice. Like it was just so much fun to experience that set. So I'm probably gonna say the school. Oh my goodness. I love the school too, because we were exploring the school. So literally
Yeah,
every set, every memory is my favorite.
that's a perfect answer. It just shows how much fun you've had making the series, which is great.
Yes.
Finally, before I stop the recording, I actually have a question, and it's nothing to do with the show. This is I'm hoping I'm gonna ask you first whether you know the Muppets?
Yes.
Do you know the Muppets? Right, okay, that's good then. 'Cause I've asked this personality style question, which I love asking actors who come on. If you could have a Muppet created based on yourself as a person, Amanda, what Muppet would it be and why?
Okay, so I love Miss Peggy, or I really love Kermit the Frog. I love Kermit. Okay, so if I had like a Muppet that was made out of me, it would be like a Kermit style Muppet. And he would be like, well, she would be very chill. And I would kind of want her to have like a bow. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like a Kermit style Muppet or like a Miss Peggy Muppet because Miss Peggy is very fun too. But I kind of grew up on the Muppets and I love them. So, yes.
Oh, that's a really good answer there, Amanda. That was my Kermit. That's why I started this show doing really bad impressions. I got Piggy, Piggy, you need it on set, Piggy. That was my little Kermit.
That's really good though, especially like to have that because I can't even do a Kermit accent. Like, it's terrible when I try.
It's a difficult one. There's a couple of us like, welcome to Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's supposed to be
Yeah.
goofy. There's even more, but I won't go into it. Don't worry. And brilliant, excellent. So, in one final thing before I stop Amanda and take myself too embarrassedly, is there anything you'd like to say to people who are watching or listening to this interview? What would you like to say to people?
Thank you guys so much for coming on and joining me and Chris and watching this interview. And just thank you guys so much for the love and support for the show and just for me as an individual and to the rest of my castmates and just, the It universe. And, stay tuned for more.
Thank you very much.